It was a Thursday afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina, the kind of day where the air smells like salt water and sweet tea, and the clouds hang low over the harbor like they're deciding whether to rain. I was in the kitchen, folding laundry at the counter, when I heard the familiar crunch of tires on our gravel driveway. Mark's silver pickup rolled to a stop, and before I could wave from the window, I saw him get out, followed by someone taller, broader, and dressed in a navy jacket. Jason Parker. I recognized him instantly from the handful of barbecues and quick coffee meetups over the years. He was Mark's best friend since their days at the University of Georgia, the kind of bond that outlasted distance, marriages, and jobs. Jason had always been polite, and just a little hard to read, the kind of man who spoke less than he observed. The screen door creaked open. Guess who's staying with us for a couple weeks? Mark grinned like this was the best news I'd hear all month. Jason set down a worn duffel bag and offered his hand. Hey Rachel. Sorry for dropping in like this. My company sent me here for a project, but my hotel fell through. Mark said you wouldn't mind. I smiled because that's what good wives do. Of course. We've got the guest room ready. For the first few days, Jason was hardly around. He left early for work and came home late, sometimes after Mark was already asleep. But I noticed little things. The way he lingered on the porch at night, staring out at the marshes long after the crickets took over the air, or how he'd pause mid-step when he thought no one was looking, as if lost in some private memory. One evening, I joined him outside with a mug of chamomile tea. Everything all right? I asked. Jason's eyes stayed on the horizon. You've got a peaceful place here. Makes a man think. About what? He smiled faintly. Things that matter. It was vague, but his tone made me feel like there was more he wasn't saying. A week later, while sorting laundry, I found something in the pocket of Jason's jacket, an envelope, folded in half. Inside was a single line written in block letters. Don't tell Mark. It's better this way. I stood there, staring at the words, the hum of the dryer filling the silence. My first instinct was to put it back and forget I'd ever seen it. But the words clung to me. That night at dinner, I watched Jason carefully. He laughed when Mark told a story, but his eyes didn't match the sound. The next Saturday, Mark left for a last-minute carpentry job 2 towns over. Rain pattered against the kitchen windows, and Jason wandered in while I was making coffee. You're a good wife, you know that? He said suddenly. I blinked. Thank you. I think. Jason leaned against the counter. That's why this is hard. There's something I should tell you, but it's not my secret to share. Then why bring it up? He looked like he wanted to say more, but instead, he took his coffee and walked out to the porch. The truth came a week later. Mark and Jason had gone fishing early in the morning. I was cleaning the living room when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Ask Jason about the night in Raleigh. Raleigh. 2 months ago, Mark had gone there for a business meeting, one I hadn't asked many questions about. That evening, when Mark was upstairs showering, I stepped out to the porch where Jason sat, flipping through a book he didn't seem to be reading. I got a message today, I said. About you. And Raleigh. Jason's head lifted sharply. Who sent it? I don't know, but they told me to ask you. He set the book aside and exhaled slowly. I told him to tell you. I begged him. But he wouldn't. Tell me what? In Raleigh, Mark got into trouble. Financial trouble. He invested in something risky, and it collapsed. I was there because he called me in a panic. I used my own savings to help him cover part of the loss. That's why I'm here now, to make sure he's stable before you find out. I gripped the porch railing, my mind spinning. Why didn't you just tell me? Because it wasn't my secret, he said. And because I knew you'd look at him differently if you found out from me. That night, I confronted Mark. The argument was loud, the silence afterward louder. We sat at the kitchen table until dawn, sifting through bills and numbers, through trust and hurt. By sunrise, we had a plan, for the debt and for us. Jason kept his distance in those days, but before he left, he said something I'll never forget. You were a good wife before all this. You'll be an even better one now. It's been a year. Mark and I are still paying off the debt, but our marriage is stronger. Sometimes, when I see the marshes at sunset, I think about Jason, the quiet way he carried a burden that wasn't his, and how sometimes the person who changes your life isn't there to break it, but to help you rebuild it.